What up? What up? What up? Welcome back to another episode of According to the Content. Thank you guys again for watching my videos and listening to me chat about this, that, and the third. Um, anyway, with that being said, as always, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. All right, now in this video, I'm gonna just give a little quick recap of some of the key highlights that stuck out to me in regards to the trial of Sean P. Diddy Combs. I know I'm late with the content, but brother was out of town, had some other things I had to take care of. Life happens, but nonetheless, I'm here with the quick video recap from the trial from last week's happenings. So I'm gonna kick it off with just a couple quick thoughts from me. It's still early. The trial, like I said in the previous video, is expected to last 8 weeks total. Prosecution said that they expect to wrap up their presentation or their case about a week early now. But we're going to see how that goes. And Diddy's defensive team, they're still pretty adamant that they're going to need about 2 weeks to present their case. And the judge in the case, he has a goal to have this whole thing wrapped up by July 4th. And the reason for that is because you don't want jury fatigue. Most people don't want to sit through a long trial because it could affect their paycheck from their job. Personal things might start to pop up, and when you're sworn in as a juror, you're pretty much locked in, and there is no getting out. And the next big holiday is the 4th of July, and the average person, they don't want to have already sat through 8 weeks of testimony only to have a few days off for the 4th of July holiday, and then have to come back again only to listen to more testimony and then closing arguments and then have to deliberate. So, but I think the case is moving on. I'm sorry, the trial is moving along at a good, steady pace, and the judge has been very, very fair to both sides. And so, we'll see how that goes. Now, the story of the past week of the trial has been the testimony of two former personal assistants of Sean Combs testifying against him. One was Capricorn Clark, and the other woman was known under the pseudonym as Mia. Now, the internet quickly figured out who this Mia person really was, as well as her real name. And for obvious reasons, this channel will not be mentioning that or revealing who she really is. Now, each woman's testimony was crazy, and neither was short on salacious details about their alleged experiences with working for Diddy. For example, Mia claimed that shortly after she began working for him, I'm sorry, Capricorn claimed that shortly after after she started working for him, some jewelry went missing, and he forced her to take a lie detector test every day for a few days in like an offbeat, abandoned building. She claims that she was threatened by Diddy that she would be thrown in the East River if she failed the lie detector test. Capricorn also testified that she worked for Bad Boy in some capacity for a number of years, and in that time, she alleges that she witnessed Diddy physically beating on Cassie Ventura. She also said that she witnessed drug use and was supposedly kidnapped herself and taken to Kid Cudi's house, all at the behest of Diddy, aka Sean Combs. Now, Mia's testimony also had no shortage of crazy allegations as well. One of the craziest things she says happened to her was that she was R worded and forced to stay up for work for 5 days straight with no sleep. Now, when Mia was cross examined by Diddy's lawyer, Brian Steele, who, if you guys don't know, I think I mentioned before, he was Young Thug's lawyer and got him off that RICO case in Atlanta a few months ago. But when she was cross-examined by Brian Steele, her story started to fall apart a little bit. He poked a lot of holes into her story. He pointed out a number of social media posts from Mia's personal social media accounts, as well as text messages to Diddy that were not consistent with the person who was allegedly R-worded and assaulted and treated, or I'm sorry, mistreated in horrible ways by a so-called monster of a person. She was texting him and making all kinds of social media posts that were pro Diddy and pro his companies. And this was years after she said that she had experienced these terrible things that she's alleged that he's done to her. Excuse me. And she also said that she faced a lot of trauma years and years after she um, had stopped working for Diddy, but yeah, she was still making these social media posts, and she was still living her life. She was still texting him and wishing him things like happy birthday, wishing his kids happy birthday, and saying that Bad Boy was her forever family. Just just a lot of pleasantries. And again, this was inconsistent with the person who she basically considered a monster. Brian still did a great job of pointing that out. And once again, Diddy's lawyers, when it seems like the prosecution brings up a witness that could kind of blow the case wide open. Diddy's lawyers come right back with the cross examination, and they poke a ton of holes in the story, and it creates a lot of doubt, and it destroys that witness's credibility of their testimony. So that's what I observed last week. Now, lastly, the next big thing that happened is unrelated to the case, but it's still about the case. Our president, Big Donald Trump, was asked on Friday about a possible pardon for his former good friend Diddy, and surprisingly, he left the door open. Now, when he was asked about it, I think Trump was very honest in his answer, and he said that he hasn't spoken to Diddy in a while, and their relationship pretty much soured once Donald Trump got into politics and ran for president, and ultimately won. And he knows, he's very aware of that some of the negative things that Diddy has said about him in the press. And but Trump said that that would not affect his decision on a possible presidential pardon for him if he is found guilty of these federal charges. Now, Trump did say that you know um, he would have to take a look at the facts, and if he felt that he was done wrong and that his case was not, properly prosecuted, that a pardon, would be on the table. So, I think, have to tip my hat to Trump for an honest answer, and not holding Diddy's past negative words and feelings um, against him. What's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. Now, I like Trump, but I do believe him on the pardon. But here's where I think he's capping just a little bit. Now, I do believe he's telling the truth. And let's say, for example, that Diddy is found guilty of maybe a prostitution charge, or maybe the RICO conspiracy. I believe if he's found guilty of those allegations, yes, I do believe Donald Trump will give him a pardon. He'd be more open so to giving him a pardon, because if you remember, Donald Trump himself, coming up on 2 years ago, was hit with a bogus um, RICO case by the um, Fulton County, Atlanta DA Fonnie Willis. So, I do believe that he would be sympathetic in that sense, if he's found guilty of that particular charge. But again, here's where I think he's capping a little bit. If for some instance Diddy is found guilty of the sex trafficking, a pardon is completely off the table. There's no way Trump is going to give Diddy, or anyone for that matter, a full presidential pardon when it comes to being found guilty on sex trafficking. If you don't remember, the Trump administration, this was a great thing about their administration. Um, the first time he was in office was, if you go back and look, his administration was very, very tough on human trafficking, sex trafficking. They didn't take too kindly to that. So I think if Diddy was found guilty on that particular charge, a pardon would be out the window. It would not happen. But again, just my opinion. But all right, there you have it. Again, that was just a quick recap. Some of my quick thoughts on what's going on in what went on in the Diddy trial last week. Again, I know I'm late with the video, but some things happen, but still getting out content for you guys. Um, as always, let me know what y'all think in the comments, man. What y'all think about that possible Trump pardon if Diddy is found guilty? Again, with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for supporting. Thank you guys for subscribing to the channel. I gained a couple more subscribers, so I got a long way to go before I reach my goal of 1,000 subscribers. But we getting there slowly but surely. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you guys next time with another video on According to the Content. Peace.